Hey, welcome, 7K team. Look, time to get some updates. Here we are nearing the end of February 2024. Uh, you know, oh, last year I started putting some things together, macro, global economics and our our country and and about BRICS uh, and our socio-political uh, situation. And why am I doing that? I'm doing it for you, uh, so you can prepare yourselves, but also it relates to our 7K business. So uh, you want your friends, your family, people you you do things with, the people you go to church with, people you associate with. You want them to be prepared too. Uh, Better prepared they are, uh, the let's say less of a burden on you. Okay, and we're all going to face these things, and so I'm going to give you an update, a quick update of everything, so we can get prepared real quick, because uh, you know I've I've shared with you quite a bit about BRICS, and now you've picked up bits and pieces here and there, and I'd post some things, some updates on BRICS, but uh, it's coming to a boil now, okay? And it's actually happening. So I can, without a doubt, say, give this message today. Uh, and it's things you're not going to see on the media. It's not reported. Kind of like my great the the uh, the the great uh, 2024 crash, bringing everything together into one little presentation. And I encourage you all to review that on a regular basis and share that. That's why I posted it in a band app for you. Uh, uh, Not my data. That's all government data, all Federal Reserve data, all, it's just actual data, and these things are going to happen. We will have a huge uh, stock market crash. We will have a hyperinflation. We will have uh, 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 depression in America once again. We're going to see worse than, I believe, the Great Depression. And I'm not the only one saying this. Now you've seen many of the uh, big macroeconomist experts. They're all coming out. All the main leaders are all now in 2024, in the beginning of 2024. They're all verifying exactly what I've told you more than 6 months ago, sometimes leading up to it more than a year ago. And so uh, uh, that's why I want to bring this kind of like a little summary update, uh, because the best way to be prepared for this is to have assets and uh, and to have gold and silver. Uh, I'm not saying that you need to convert everything into gold and silver. That I'm not. I don't want to ever. Uh, these are. I just want to give you facts and information. You have the information then to make informed decisions of what you want to do and how you want to prepare, how you want to move into this transitory position that will happen. But no, the stock market, when it crashes, none of us knows that day that it will happen, but we're we're getting very close. Okay, I don't know when. Okay, I do know one thing, so I'll say one thing on the stock market, and it's been put out. I've been watching it now for about 9 weeks, and I took quite a bit of action about 3 weeks ago. As y'all know, I don't play a lot in the stock market, only about $250,000 in the stock market. Uh, and uh, uh, and much of it's in, pretty secure things. But I want to tell you, I sold a lot. When I saw Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and all these, uh, multi-billionaire running these media companies, uh, every one of them, not just a few, uh, selling their own stock. And I'm not talking about just a little bit. I'm talking about millions and millions of shares. Uh, so when they're selling their stock, there's something up. And so, uh, I subscribe to what are called insider trading. Insider trading is what shows what the owners and big shareholders of companies are doing. So it gives you an indication. Not always true, but when many of them are doing it, hey, that's a clue. Something's about to happen. Okay. And so I sold quite a bit of my holdings in companies like that. Uh, I dabble in it in and out, uh, but I may as well take advantage of it, take a take a profit, bring it home, and convert it to gold and silver. uh, but anyway, that's one thing. Okay, that's one thing that's happening. That's a clue. But the main point that I want to talk about today uh, is BRICS, okay? Because we've talked, and I've given you some education. I've posted things on BRICS, but now it's a fact. And see, this is not something that just happened overnight. This is something Putin started back in 2014. So we have to go way back. And so all this war stuff, all this kind of stuff, all these moves and things. I mean, it's just deflection, and the media never reports on the things that's really relevant and important. Uh, and uh, uh, that's what we have in the case of BRICS. Now, it wasn't immediately adopted, it wasn't immediately accepted, but when I came on the scene and really told you about it, that's when it was really taking place. I mean, we saw it was bits and pieces of what we're putting together. Now, what is the purpose of BRICS? That's the key. So let's just get simple. The purpose of BRICS is to kill the US dollar. It is the global world reserve currency, has been since Bretton Woods in July 1994, when the World Bank was established. The US dollar was set as the global world currency, and the the IMF, the Internet Monetary Fund, was established. Those three major things is what is really kind of control the globe, trade, economies, many political situations, but it's also allowed America to do things that it shouldn't have been done over these decades and decades and decades. Because if you think, you know, we could afford all giving away all these money, paying all this stuff, having all these wars, but like all this money that's going to Ukraine and all this is that's happening, it is because we have it. No, it's because we are the global reserve currency. But that is changing, and that's what I want to bring to your attention today. And the clock has is now set. It's heading toward its alarm. Okay, we are alarming, but it's heading toward that total countdown when everything changes, and it's going to affect the lives of everyone, yours, mine, our families, for decades to come, not just in one point in time, for decades to come. Uh, and you know, some people that in my rim liken this to really World War III, but it's not, with arms and tanks and missiles and bombs and and it's an economic war. An economic war is extremely powerful, especially when we're talking about a global one. Okay, and uh, Russia is really out to be the next superpower in the world and reestablish themselves as that, and they're doing it with BRICS. Okay, now way back with the invasion of Crimea, we had all kind of sanctions on Russia, and it looked like, man, everything was putting down. But that's really where BRICS came to all about, where it really came into place, okay, because of that. And so when you put uh, uh, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, uh, China, South Africa. So let's talk about that. What have they emerged to? These just 5 countries. Now, as you know, 40 more countries are being invited to participate in BRICS. And what is that? What does that mean to you and me? What is this attack against this anti-dollar, this new currencies that are going to displace the dollar and govern world trade? And that's really what it's about. Well, just these BRICS countries yield about 1/4 of the Earth's land. That's what they take up. About 1/4 of the Earth's land. BRICS. Just BRICS. Just Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, those 5 countries. But here's the key. The next statistic is amazing. It's nearly half the population of the globe, especially the free world. And it's about 25 trillion in global trade. Now, look, global trade in 2022 was only $31 trillion. Listen to what I just said. Our debt in America, look at the great 2024 crash. We're $33.6 trillion in debt. The global trade is only 31 trillion in 2022. It's going to be much bigger than that in 2023. But here's the key. See, the whole key was to get rid of the global reserve currency, the US dollar, as being the median of trade around the world. That's what made the dollar so strong. That's why we could have all of these inefficiencies. That's why they could print up this so-called money out of thin air and pay for all this stuff. Well, that caused inflation. Oh yeah, we've gone through the cycles of it. We've gone through that. But what I want to share with you is these other 40 countries. Now, thank goodness Argentina's kind of put a little snap in that, because that's the second largest economy in South America. Now, they've said they're not going to participate. Well, I take that with a grain of salt, okay? Because they may well. Now, we know that Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran uh, uh, are biting at the bullet. Uh, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Indonesia is waiting in the background. Congo. I'm talking about when we have these other 40 nations, United Arab Emirates, and Iran and Saudi Arabia and India joining, and Tunisia joining these countries. And what does that mean? Well, let me just kind of tell you what's happened just recently, why I'm so convinced that this is now going to transpire without unequivocally, no way around it, that it's going to happen, because China, Russia, and the BRICS countries have been shedding their dollars. Okay, they hold the dollars to have global trade, but this last year, more than 10% of the trade was not conducted in U.S. dollars. That's where Russia and, let's say, China are going to trade with each other. They'd use their dollars to do the trade with, but now, guess what? Russia and China, that their latest trades have been in the yuan. Yeah. India and Russia, the latest trades have been in a rupee, but they're moving toward that BRICS gold-backed currency, where it will become more acceptable as the trade alternative. Right now, they're trading in their own currencies. Well, what's happening to that dollar? Well, people are getting rid of it. Countries are getting rid of it. The central bank's holding of dollars right now are only 60%. The World Bank current holdings, 60% of their liquidity holdings. It's never been that low in history. And so what does this mean when the dollars are going to be, basically sent back to America? Well, it's going to cause massive hyperinflation, far worse than 9% rate we saw last year, far worse than the 20% we saw in the 70s in America. And this is already starting. The dollar is collapsing as I speak right now. And since the BRICS make up 25% of the world's trade in just those 5 countries, and then the other, let's say, 39 nations have expressed in joining them this year, well, we're going to have that happen because, see, don't you think the bad actors, like North Korea, Cuba, they're all going to be joining. Afghanistan, you betcha. Even our neighboring countries and our so-called partners like Pakistan and Mexico are lining up to join the BRICS. And so what will they do with their dollars? They'll only hold a little bit that they need to trade with the U.S. if they want to trade, if they trade with the U.S. So that means that the dollar will be displaced as the global world reserve currency. Will that happen this next year? No, that this is going to happen and slowly erode the dollar, tanking its value. And this is why it's important. It's why it's important for us to learn, to be a member of 7K. It's important for our friends and relatives to learn why they should own some gold and silver, why countries are getting gold and silver, why central banks are holding gold and silver, why the wealthy are holding gold and silver, why everyone of any consequence. It's always been throughout history that asset that transitions people and businesses and countries and through these perilous times. Russian-Chinese trade using the yuan, China's currency. I want you to know in the last 8 months, it has soared greater than 8,000%. Yeah. This is why I say, okay, I got to bring this back. I got to pause in our training to bring this message, combined with my information that I've given you, all the statistics, those are only getting worse, those statistics that I gave. So you can use that as the baseline, and those things are getting worse. Now, Saudi Arabia is already dropped the dollar. They are trading in other currencies other than the US dollar that we call the petrodollar. Well, that's gone to the ditch now. Okay. And so basically what you can see is this global sentiment of an anti-dollar. And that's swelling. And that is not going to get any less. And so it's going to take our reserve status right down with it. And so I want you to understand there's a big impact when the US dollar is not the world's reserve currency. So you have you have an understanding of what that means when they talk about it in the news, because they won't tell you what it means to you. It won't tell you about the hyperinflation that you're going to have. It won't tell you about all the dollars coming back, and that's the reason for all the hyperinflation that we're incurring, and for the reset that will happen. It won't tell you about all the banking failures that are happening. And now they're complicated by all the other factors that I gave you in the great 2024 crash. So, like I said, I don't want to scare you to death. And this should just be information for you and I to share, have discussions, talk about, look at what I have available on the band apps for you, what I'll be posting updates there, because I'll be posting updates now. I'll be posting other people's information here about these subjects. So we all just to kind of stay up to date, and it just doesn't slide to the back of the room, that we've got to keep this in the forefront of all of our planning. I mean, just a very, very interesting statistic that caught my attention, that I thought it was significant, is in 2018, I remember 2018, okay, when Russia's getting all these uh, 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 sanctions, and they, the invasion of Crimea and all that kind of stuff, and it's Democratic or run administrations that get us in these quagmires and problems, and but Russia dumped 84% of its U.S. Treasury holdings in 2018. And that was that line of demarcation. That was that line in the sand by Russia. And then now over the next 5 years, here we are 2024. Well, we completed 2023. Trade to the BRICS nations, invoice in dollars, supposedly it's global trade, invoiced in dollars, collapsed from 85% to just 36%. And that's collapsing even further right now to the BRICS nations. Okay. Last year, China followed suit, selling 20% of its dollars, almost 200 billion. Now their holdings of, why do they hold US dollars? For global trade. They don't need it any longer. Their holdings sit at a 12-year low, and China is continuing to dump their dollars. So that's why our dollar is weakening. And this new economic order threatens to cut the dollar's share of world trade from almost 90%, almost, didn't quite make 90% last year, to less than half. That's the impact right there. That's catastrophic threat to America's financial security. That is worse than when Nixon took us off the gold standard. And we experienced it. All we have to do is look back. You know, all I can do is point out the information and pray that people listen to it over, listen to other things about these subjects, so they and pray and that they're making the best decisions for themselves and their family in protecting what they've worked so hard for all their life, especially people moving that are retired, people moving into retirement, people, heading for those years now, kind of just think of what I just said. America's debt, $33.6 trillion, our national debt. Global trade is only of last year, 2022. Last year's numbers aren't in 2023, but 2022 was 31 trillion. Our debt is more than 100% of our GDP. The bubble is totally out of control, this debt bubble. And like I said, the IMF, the percentage of dollar holdings at the world's central banks fell to a 25-year low, less than 60%. That's why I know this will happen now. There is no turning back. There is no turning back. We're going to go through decades of economic turmoil. It's not just me saying these things. Some of the great macroeconomists of our time are all saying the same thing now. Even Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In January of this year, we're headed to the Great Depression, worse than we had after the stock market crash of 1929 and entered into that long period of depression in America right up to World War II. So the good news is we're members of 7K. We get to do something about it. We get to what I trained just recently, and we need to everybody train it. And I do not believe in having IRAs. I do not believe in having 401ks. Now, if you're working for someone, they have a 401k and they have an employer and they make employee contributions, you have to participate in that because that's 100%. If they match what you put in up to 1% or 2%, and not many of them are doing that anymore. But if they do that, of course, because you got 100% return. But the problem with those things is they make all the rules. They tell you when you can take it out, when you can't, what you can do with it. And all of our IRAs and 401ks are at risk from the government really taking them, using them for all of these factors that we just talked about. And they'll use the excuse, it's good for the country, it's good for you. I believe in creating your own through God's money, gold and silver. Buy a little bit of gold and silver through sound money. You can store it in a private vault. I mean, just think about it. No, it's not the lowest price in the world all the time. But when you consider that you can buy incremental and it's insured 100% and you can store it there, oh, hey, yeah, it's a extremely good price to buy your gold and silver on a recurring, what I call dollar cost average basis, where you are accumulating wealth. Okay? And you're in control, not the government, not the employer and the government. You're in control. For young people, I highly recommend it. Forget about those tax benefits of an IRA. In fact, do you know right now the government is talking about eliminating those? Oh, yeah. They need taxes. Oh, that's been hot discussions this year. Oh, in the back smoke-filled rooms, yeah. They aren't reporting it in the media. Okay, like I said, this is news. This is information. This is for you to use with you, your family, your friends, your business associates, people you come in contact with, people you go to church with, and y'all should talk about these things. Sometimes people are afraid to talk about because they understand the facts and it just scares them to death. Well, don't be afraid. The Lord tells us not to be afraid. Be prepared. Be prepared. And so with information, we can be prepared. I didn't even talk about income. I didn't even talk about anything concerning making extra income with 7K. But I, I did share information about BRICS, global economies, world returns. I'm not a financial advisor. I just report the information that I have, that I research, that I see, and it's information. You consult with those that you feel are your financial advisors, your your people. See what they say, what their opinion is. Get other opinions. But I know one thing. What we are doing in 7K is providing the opportunity for everyone to learn about why they should have gold and silver, buy gold and silver, have a diversified portfolio with bullion and modern collectibles. Now, are modern collectibles going to be of great value? Yeah, again, see, modern collectibles gain value with time, not I buy today and I sell tomorrow at a great profit. I mean, that's ludicrous. That's just like you buy a brand new car. You think you're going to sell it for more the day after or next month after you buy it? You buy a brand new home, you think, or condo, you think you're going to sell it for more the month after you buy it? Heck no. It's going to cost you an arm and leg if you sell it. Okay. Well, gold and silver are assets. Modern collectibles are assets. Same thing. I hope you see what I see. We will have a Q&A. And I care about each and every one of you that's here, whether it's in your future team members. And I just want you to have the information that you need, that you can take it and do with it what you feel that needs to be done between you and the Lord. Okay? And we will have a Q&A, and I'll see you back in a few minutes.